Aloha. I am your average psychedelically enhanced college student, and I tend to view mind-expanding experiences as beneficial to my education. Plenty of times in the past I had heard of people taking seeds to trip off of an LSD-like chemical, but I never heard more than rumors. It wasn't until I did serious searching on sites like Erowid that I found out more about LSA, lysergamide, LSD's legal cousin. I hunted around for information and finally settled on Hawaiian baby Woodrose seeds, because they had a great reputation and seemed to be easier to use than regular morning glory seeds. A friend of mine knew where to get some, so I got some seeds and compared them to pictures up on the web. They looked legitimate, so I carefully removed the fuzzy coating of the seeds, which causes nausea, and crushed them open with a pair of pliers. I then chewed the 5 seeds up a little and washed them down with a little bit of orange juice. No problems at all in dosing, just make sure that the seed is opened up a little, as they're literally rock hard and impossible to chew unless broken. My events for the evening had gotten cancelled, so I fully intended to enjoy this new method of tripping. I grabbed my pipe and some herb, but I thought it would be better to wait until the effects set in. I dosed at around 8 p.m., and then got on the computer and chatted until 10 p.m., which is when it really started kicking in. HBWR seems to have a 2-hour waiting time, unlike most other substances which take an hour or so. At 9:30 my tummy started to get a little ticklish. I had eaten not too long before dosing, but hadn't had too much food. Still, I suddenly felt the urge to vomit. I dashed to the closest bathroom down the hall, a single, and was turned back because someone was in it. I actually should thank this person, because I think I would have thrown up easily. The nausea was certainly there, but it was more manageable than what you get on DXM, for example. I am very glad I didn't puke, because of what was to come. By 10:30 p.m. I was seeing brilliantly vibrant colors, a whole spectrum in shining brilliance. It was as if I were immersed in a rainbow. The computer began to bore me, even though it was melting, and the monitor and keyboard started to turn into a liquid. I went for a walk, and reaching a safe spot, I lit up. By now I was really feeling the effects, and seeing magnificent tracers along with the continuous flow of colors. I had a lot of fun with my flashlight and a laser pointer, because I had my own personal light show. Besides the visual effects, I was also very giddy and laughed a lot for no reason. I feel that anyone else who wouldn't necessarily be into drugs would have a very hard time controlling themselves on LSA. My mind flew about at astonishing speeds. Overall my thoughts were jolly and pleasant. I thought about old pets, friends, and life in general. While smoking I kept thinking that I was inhaling ash. But rather my mouth was just not used to feeling all tripped up and having smoke in it. I had to keep reassuring myself that my pipe had a fresh screen and no ash was coming out of my end. Around midnight I took my usual ginkgo biloba pill, wonderful for improving the memory, and one active cold and sinus pill. I knew how hard it was to get to sleep on acid, and I wanted to sleep eventually that night, so a powerful sedative was needed. About half an hour later my trip took a turn for the sleepy, but it was still very intense and psychedelic. I went to sleep at 3 a.m. and woke up the next morning very early, around 7:30 a.m., still tripping. The only downside, as I see it, is that the seeds cause constriction in the veins, especially in the legs. This basically leads to cramping, making walking somewhat difficult but bearable. Stretching alleviated the pain for a few minutes at a time, but I found it to be most uncomfortable, and the cramping continues now a little bit, 2 days after the experience. Alcohol will reverse the pain of this nasty side effect, apparently. I got mildly drunk the next night and noticed that the cramping was gone very rapidly. So for my next trip on these seeds, I'm going to get mildly drunk once the trip sets in and see if that prevents the cramps. In any event, I see alcohol as more dangerous and destructive than deadly drugs, and I would advise caution when mixing it with any psychedelic. Overall, I have ranked this my single best trip ever. I won't compare it to specific drugs, but it was most psychedelic thing I ever managed to accomplish. I took 5 seeds, and was told that was comparable to 1 hit of acid. I disagree with this. Maybe I got really good seeds, but for the effects I had, 5 seeds is very potent. The whole time I felt warm and comfortable, and not very chemically or having a load on the body. The LSA is all natural, and I think it came into my body better than refined LSD ever did. The whole trip had a more natural feel to it, and for the last 2 days I've been thinking about native peoples who have ceremonial use for natural psychedelics, including HBWR.